Now we all know Pokemon is a massive and successful franchise from making games, shows, movies, and even some questionable manga. But just like all businesses, not everything from this franchise is ever successful or a bigger hit than they hoped it would be. But for context for this video, let's go back to the year 2011. The Nintendo Wii, which is now considered a retro console, after 5 years of its release, people were anticipating a new console from Nintendo. A console that could rival the competitors. Something so unique that it would be just as successful as the Wii. The Wii 2. I mean, Wii U. Yeah, they basically made a Wii that's also like a handheld and it's like a hybrid, but I really won't dig too deep into it on why it failed. And adding to the fact that we're already moving to the next generation of consoles at the time, everyone was excited for what the new main title Pokemon games are going to be for the 3DS. So the Pokemon company was in a difficult situation. New generations of consoles were being sought after by people while they were working on a main title game for the older generation while also planning a sequel for it. They wanted to squeeze as much time and games they could possibly put before the new console's release. I'm not sure how it went down exactly, but I'd like to imagine it like this. Well, Pokemon Black and White didn't turn out to be a success like we thought it would be, and we put money into the sequel while still having some budget left for a new game. Got any ideas? I guess they could like the video? What the f are you talking about? Get out of here. Anyone here with any good ideas? Hey, remember that time when we made a game for the Wii that did kinda well? Yeah? So why not just make another one? And they did! PokePark 2 was their best failure since it launched at the time the Wii was at its final few months or years. While it barely got over 1 million sales, I'd still say to this day that it's probably the best Pokemon spin-off they've ever made. It's essentially just like the first PokePark, but better. Better world building, better graphics, you could play as 4 Pokemon, better writing, and did I mention you could play as 4 Pokemon? Unlike the first game, and if you don't know what the first game is about, you could watch my video about it right after this one. You could play as Pikachu and 3 other Unova starters. The game's whole gist is practically the same as well, because the whole message is about, friendship, having multiple areas, having mini games, and of course like saving Piplup and your friends. One funny thing I'd like to mention is that someone commented from my other video saying how Piplup caused all this mess in PokePark 1, and you're kinda right, but Piplup is the best starter and I don't care what you have to say. Anyway, I was getting too carried away there, but the game starts with Piplup bringing you to a fun little beach. Then you see Krokorok and Sandile telling some other Pokemon, "Come follow us for some free cake and games." Like that doesn't sound suspicious at all. And you follow Piplup because, who could say no to free cakes and games, right? And it leads you to a poster that turns out to be a portal. So it also leads you to a place called Wish Park. And you suddenly get hit with a strange vibe to it, like you weren't supposed to be there, but it felt kind of magical and dreamlike. So you see this Gothita, which is basically your tour guide to the place, and you have to follow it to get some free cake and games. So you're then approached by this Cofagrigus and he's inviting you to play his game, which is basically a point and shoot type of game. So after you're done playing that minigame, you're expecting some free cake and all of that, but a Panseer shows up saying, "Yo, everyone right now is acting really weird, and it's because Cofagrigus laced the fucking cake." But anyway, Oshawott comes out of nowhere and saves the day by saving you and Piplup, and now he has to snitch to his dad about the underground drug ring going on inside of like the poster or Wish Park. So while they're trying to escape the place, some huge shadowy hands come out of nowhere and try to grab one of you guys. And of course, it won't be a PokePark game without you having to save Piplup. Because of course, it had to get Piplup. This whole Wish Park plan kind of reminds me of something similar in a way, like especially with how they want to keep people in like a trance-like state to be happy forever. It just sounds very, very similar to something. So yeah, you tell Samurott about it and Oshawott gets added to your party. Then you're tasked by Samurott to go investigate the whole thing. So after a whole bunch of side missions, you then go back to the portal to enter Wish Park to confront Cofagrigus. You'll have to beat like a set score on this minigame, and right after you'll have to beat him in another minigame and a 1v1 with him. So after you beat him, he tells you the only way to snap people out of their state is to ring the wish bell, which is the bell on top of the park. And every wish park has it, and every wish park has like cool different themes to it. The game is pretty much a rinse and repeat, but with different areas and side quests and puzzles, just like the previous game. But the world building and story are just 10 times better. I guess it's also similar in a way that they never seem to make it boring or have a sense of repetitiveness to it, since it's like a story game after all. One other thing I do like about this game is how they made the 3D models of these Pokemon look just as good or even better in some cases. I won't explain the full plot of this game since I want you to actually experience this game for yourself if you haven't played it. Whether it's through emulation or buying, a used copy. It's such a good game and it's kind of sad that it's not being talked about as much because like I mentioned earlier, everyone was putting their eyes on the next generation of consoles and the sequel to the main game. And I guess it wasn't really advertised as much, compared to like other Pokemon games. And yeah, that pretty much covers it. Experience the game for yourself if you haven't, and if you have, let me know because it's really such a niche thing coming from a big company. If you want to know more about PokePark, especially PokePark 1, you could click this video right here. And that's about it.